Okay, well, I'm going to talk to you about the Real Assurance Scheme. We're an arm's length subsidiary of the Renewable Energy Association. We apply the Office of Fair Trading's Consumer Codes Approval Scheme and the core criteria for the sector, and it requires a high level of consumer protection, and it works closely with the MCS installer standards for microgeneration technologies. At the moment, the industry is worth about £300 million annually for small scale, which is covered by the MCS, the under 50 kilowatt range. There's around 25,000 employees involved with solar PV at the moment, which makes up the majority of our membership. So we have about 4,500 members, and about 4,000 of them are working solely in solar PV. And about 3,000 of those are MCS certified. So we work closely with the MCS. The consumer code is effectively a code of conduct for installers, for our members, and it covers things like the general business standards, the selling techniques, pre-sales documentation and quotes, prepayment protection, so protecting deposit and things, giving accurate information about performance estimates and quotations, and we also offer a complaints process, so we have independent conciliation and arbitration for companies who would need to resolve their complaints with consumers. Overlooking the whole scheme, there is a supervisory panel. This is run by an independent chair, and there's a number of different stakeholders on the panel representing different parts of the industry. We also have observers from government departments. We meet every 3 months quarterly, and they make sure that any changes to the code wouldn't affect members adversely or detrimentally. They also make sure that the monitoring that we perform with our members is fair and accurate. When our members apply to be members of the scheme, they make a number of declarations about any previous businesses they've had, and to make sure that they abide by the code. Some of those declarations are whether or not they've been into any kind of insolvency or liquidation in the past, any administrators have been appointed, if they've been expelled from the Real Assurance Scheme, or any county court judgments, basically to check that if they've been in any kind of financial difficulties before, or if consumers are at any risk, that we're aware of it before we allow them in. We might give them some undertakings before we permitted them into the scheme. The membership fees are quite low. The lowest category is £220 a year for 1 to 6 employees. That makes up the majority of our membership, and it goes up gradually then with the number of employees. We charge on a pro rata basis, so the membership runs from December to December. We were started in 2006, so we've been running for 5 years. Started off with very few numbers, and with the launch of the feed-in tariff, that's when most of our membership joined. In the last 12-18 months, our membership has doubled or trebled. As I said, the majority of our membership are small members, 1 to 6 employees, so we definitely support the smaller companies, represent a large portion of small companies. In return, we provide some services to our members. We provide some documentation like model, contracts and quotes and cancellation forms just to make it easier for them to comply with the code. We provide some extra guidance on how to deal with vulnerable consumers, consumer legislation and protection, and guidance on the audits that we perform. We also have some online resources which is available to our members. As part of our membership, we offer deposit and advance payment insurance. This is one of the requirements of our members to make sure they protect any advance payments that they take. So we've set this scheme up with insurance provider, so it's free for our members, so they can offer consumers protection for any money they hand out up front. The insurance scheme covers up to 60% of the total contract value, which is all members are permitted to take in advance of any work being carried out. It's free to members. we've had around 4,000 contracts registered up to October this year. The policy is sent directly to the consumer, so if the installer did suffer any kind of insolvency, then the consumer would make a claim directly with the insurance company. We also have quite a bit of guidance on our website for consumers. A lot of it's to do with guidance on what to look for in a quote when you're choosing an installer, and guidance on the feed-in tariffs and what kind of payback they should expect from their technologies. When our members have joined, we carry out a number of monitoring activities. Includes compliance checks from some members before joining, so we check 1 in 10 of new applications to make sure they comply with the code. We audit around 1/3 of our members annually, and we perform mystery shopping on them if we suspect them of any non-compliance with the code. We also have consumer satisfaction surveys, but they can be quite relative because it depends on who the members decide to hand them out to. In 2010, we audited, we were up to about 1/3 of our members, and a number of our members, only about 5 or 10% of the companies we were auditing were passing in the first time. On this graph shows you that the higher the score you get, the worse you've performed in the audit. So the worse, the more non-compliances you have, the higher the score. So this shows that a large proportion were getting very high scores, and quite a few were getting quite bad fails. In 2011, with the more guidance we provided, I think people are getting more familiar with the code, so we had less fails. You see a much larger proportion were getting passes. So I think more of our members now are realizing what it is to be a member and what the requirements are. The number of the key points that members were failing on the audits were things like unfair contract terms. It was mostly because people didn't realize what they were writing into it. They might be taking contracts from other places, from business-to-business contracts, which wouldn't apply to domestic consumers. And then there's a kind of even spread across some of the other things. This is a key one, the fact that members weren't even telling their employees what they had to do when they're dealing with domestic consumers. For companies that are non-compliant, and we have a number of complaints about them, we refer them to the non-compliance panel. They meet about once a month, again run by an independent chair. Half of them are independent members, and they'd be technical experts and consumer legislation experts. And they would give any kind of disciplinary action against companies that are non-compliant, and hold hearings to see if the members, if they can dispute it fairly. So in 2010, our non-compliance panel met 7 times. We were holding 3 hearings, and 3 of the companies resigned during the process. They weren't officially thrown off, but it was due to our non-compliance activity that they resigned from the scheme. 3 companies' membership terminated for failure to respond to complaints and audits. So if you fail an audit, there's still an opportunity to correct it and pass. But if you don't resolve the issues, you can be thrown off the scheme as well. We often deal with a lot of complaints, which is what most consumers come to us with. They have a complaint about one of our members. We log the complaints. If we can help them ourselves, so if it covers the things that the code covers, like mis-selling and pre-contractual or pre-installation issues, then we can assist them. If it's after the installation or it's a technical fault, we can direct them to the MCS certifying body. We also work closely with EST and DEC and Consumer Direct to exchange information about companies who suspected are non-compliant. As I mentioned earlier, we offer a conciliation service and arbitration, which a number of members find very helpful when they can't find a resolution with a consumer. To give you an idea of the complaints that we get, nearly 2/3 of them, 3/3 of them, 3/4 are solar PV. That makes up the majority of complaints. In 2010, a lot more of them were solar thermal, but now solar PV is just taking off, and that's what most of the complaints are about. You can see we had 291 complaints so far this year. So we're dealing with quite a lot of consumers. Yeah, most of the complaints that we deal with are to do with exaggerated output estimate, exaggerated income and payback, high price discounted to get people to sign up on the spot, so pressure selling, things in panels installed in the wrong places, and problems with MCS certification and registration for the consumers to claim the feed-in tariff. If you have any more information, you can contact us at the website. We have a lot of information on the website, including how to join, and if you do have any complaints against members, you can find it on our website there. So there's a quick run through. It's a bit short on time. Don't know if anybody's got any questions. I'll be around working on one of the stands over there, solar care. So if anybody does have any questions, they can come over to me over there. Okay. Thanks.